Hey everyone, I'm going to do my John Maxwell now. I went out looking for jobs today and I did see a few help wanted signs, so I'm going to send my resume through for those. Hopefully something will come up for me soon, because it's been a long time now. I've been putting out applications. I've registered or sent my resume to Altus HR, to Randstad, to Apple One, to all of the major recruiters, Adecco, Quantum, and so I'm hoping that I get something sooner rather than later. I need something off the phones because of my ears being affected now. I get a lot of tinnitus in them, so I can't take the calls. I can do emails, and of course I can take a few calls, but not sitting on the phones the whole day. So I'm trying to find something in administration, in training, or something where I can use my customer service skills working face-to-face with people. And I'm going to keep at the applications, but I'm also trying to build my business with the John Maxwell. So that's why I'm doing these videos and putting them out there. This is not for Bono. I use examples of what I've done with my volunteering, but this is not for the one campaign. So it's for me. It's to build my business and to get speaking engagements and be able to help build workshops and train people. And also hopefully through the church, maybe they'll give me spiritual direction, because spiritual directors do charge for their work. They don't do everything for free. They charge for giving retreats, for putting together workshops. So I'm trying to combine them and do it this way. And today I finished another section of this book, the 21 qualities of leaders in the Bible. And this is developing leadership traits inspired by men and women of Scripture. And today I looked at Joshua and Caleb. So the question in here for the first one, there were readings which I had to do first. And it was Numbers 14, 1 to 24, and then Joshua 14, 6 to 15. And the questions in here was, what separated Joshua and Caleb from the rest of the Israelites? Did those two men lack fear? Did the others lack faith? And then we have to write out our answers. So you see that Joshua and Caleb, they went in to explore the land, and they saw that the land was good. They saw that they could build good lives there and their people could live in peace. And you had the others who, they were getting tired of this journey, and they were asking why the Lord brought them into the land only for them to die by the sword and for their wives and children to be taken as plunder. They were asking, wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to each other, we should choose a leader and go back to Egypt. So when things get very hard and we see suffering around us, we see devastation, like in Canada, we have 2 million people using food banks. We have a big drug problem because the safe sites that were set up to try to help drug addicts became abused. And the policies that were implemented to sell drugs the way we sell alcohol have led to devastating consequences. So people can't get work, they can't get jobs, and many people are going back. They're going back to India, they're going back to Ukraine, they're going back to South Africa, because they're saying we have our own people there and it's too hard now. We don't see ourselves having a future here in Canada, which is sad because it's a rich country. It's a country that has a lot of resources. It's a country that is a peaceful country. But because of the hardships and the policies that have been implemented, a lot of people are losing heart. So similar to Joshua and Caleb, encouraging the people and saying, don't lose hope, keep your faith in God. God will keep His promise. That's what we have to do in our lives. We have to trust God to open those right opportunities, those right jobs, and for God to lead us. For some of the people that have gone back, that has been the right decision for them, because they've gone back and they have good businesses, they're living good lives, and I've heard that from people that know me. So things have worked out for them. But the main thing is for us to trust in the Lord and to do our part, because for those of us who have been here over 20 years, we wouldn't have come this far if we were not good people, if we were not people who contributed to our churches, to the community, and kept our faith in God. We would have gone back within the first 2 or 3 years and said, you know what, it's too hard, I'm going back now. But for me, I've been here a long time, I've been here over 20 years, and I was actually I was shocked when I was taken to the police station and told that, oh, this is an interracial couple that we're dealing with here. It's a mixed race couple that were complaining about you. I got a shock, because I have mixed race couples in my own family. I have friends who are mixed race, and I've lived with my cousin in England. They are a mixed race couple. My cousin is white, Stephen, and Maggie is of Indian descent like me. And the same with my cousin Sharon and John. So I just kept quiet and I just looked at them. I was like, what the hell is going on? Because in my family, we don't discriminate like that. So I just kept quiet and I did whatever they told me to do, because I was like, you know what? No matter what I say, you're not going to listen to me. So I'm just going to keep quiet and do what you're telling me to do to save my own life, because you're basically accusing me of lying and of making things up and things being in my head. So I didn't say anything. But we have to also know that in those moments, because the Bible did tell us that we will be called before police, we will be summoned, and even leaders, country leaders, will turn against us. And that's what happened to me with MAID, with the medical assistance in dying. I had an actual email from the Prime Minister's office that I sent to the church, because they said we are going to put safeguards in place and we are taking into consideration what the population is saying about people not wanting this. And then they implemented it, and they had the NDP and the Liberals joined forces, and they put it through without any safeguards. So we have to put our faith in God, and we have to fight for what we want, because we can't have fear of the people of the land, because God brought us here and this is now our land as well. So we also have rights and responsibilities towards this country. And the punishment could have been much worse for the Israelites if they had turned away from God's promises. And I'm lucky I have my friend's parents in England, and her mom also. I speak to them sometimes and they tell me, don't lose heart. You are walking with God. Continue to walk with God and believe in His promises. Those promises are there for you, and they're there for us as well. And I beat myself up, and I know that I'm hard on myself. But they told me, don't do that to yourself, because you are worthy. You are worthy of a good job. You are worthy of all the blessings, and you are worthy of God's promises in your life. So don't do that to yourself. So they're a blessing to me, because that's what I need at this time. And then you see God's promises being fulfilled. We have to have the courage of our convictions. We have to have that conviction that things are going to work out for me. I'm not a hopeless case. I'm not somebody that's unworthy of the time of our CEO of the One campaign. I'm not somebody that's unworthy of Bono's time. I also have Irish people in my family. So if he doesn't want to give it, or he doesn't have the time, or there's other people he wants to spend it with, that's up to him. But it doesn't mean that I am unworthy of his time, because I've given a lot of my time towards his aims, his dreams, making him successful, making the One campaign successful, the same way I have with the church. And I have that courage of my convictions, because in the old days, we were not aiming for a poor church like we are now. The church was taking over lands. It had lands, it had vineyards, it made its own cheese and wine, it had properties, and Catholics strive for those things. It wasn't only for the priests and the nuns, it was also for us. And that's what I want. I don't want to be sitting in the church saying I can't give any money because I'm in debt and I can't even pay my rent. That's not my goal. And if that's the church that Pope Francis wants to build, that's what he wants, that's fine. But then they can also sell all the lands they have, they can sell all the riches in the church, all the beautiful artwork, they can sell all that and then be a poor church. Because it's not fair to the rest of us to build a poor church and have our community suffering and not getting good jobs and not getting incomes. Because like Joshua and Caleb, we want our children to inherit the land. We want our children to be able to buy property, to live here and to live in peace, because we are doing right, just like Joshua and Caleb did right. And you see that in the passage of Joshua 14, 6-15. Caleb entered the land and he was rewarded by God. He got his inheritance from Joshua, because Joshua first inherited the land and then he gave Caleb his inheritance and he passed it on to him, because he followed God wholeheartedly. And that was God's promise, that his descendants would inherit the land too. So for me, I'm not married, but I have nieces, I have nephews, and the talks that I'm doing, they're not only for the general public, they are for the friends and family connected with me to encourage them in their faith. When I graduated, I didn't just invite strangers to my graduation at Regis. I invited my close friends and family. And unfortunately, my sister wasn't there because I didn't have enough tickets. But I also came to Canada to be with my sister, to be close to family. I didn't come here just to study and just to complete my degrees and make money. So it's important that we remember God's promises and we remember that we will get our inheritance from the Lord. Even if people don't give it to us, we will get our inheritance, and the promises will be fulfilled in our lives if we are faithful to the Lord and if we keep our convictions and we keep our faithfulness to Him. God will not disappoint us, because the things that happen in life, the disappointments, the trials, they come to everybody, but we walk with God in our faith journeys. And God will fulfill those promises for us too. So that one was for that book. And then for this one, I started yesterday on the 3 points of the next chapter of Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. And the next 3 points in here are just about, we shouldn't make life harder for ourselves. So we have to accept reality, we have to face reality and then move forward. It's like now we are dealing with AI, we're dealing with the internet. We can't go back to saying, oh, I don't want you to put my banking information online. I want a book and I only want to record my deposits and my withdrawals in that book. I don't trust this because internet systems fail, it can go down, there can be fraud, people hack into accounts. The only thing we can do is move forward and try to put the safeguards in place that will prevent that. And when it does happen, the banks take responsibility for that, because there are fake websites, there are fake things out there, and they know that. So they cover that, because it's not our fault that crooks set up Facebook or whatever, and they put false things out there, and there's so many of them. Believe you me, working in online jobs, I've discovered there's so many. Whether it's a sports company or Rafa Nadal or Federer, there's so many people that set up fake accounts. and they'll sell things using their names, they'll sell products using big company names, and then when they call, like where I worked, to say that, oh, but I bought this, and they say they're connected to you, then we get the brunt of it. Most people are nice about it. They're like, you know what, it's not your fault. We'll go back to that person. But some people expect us, we don't control that. It's not our fault if people are setting up fake accounts. So we have to remember that, and you can't take a dead horse and promote it. You can't flag it. You can't make a dead horse come alive again. The future is in the IT. The future is there in that, and so we embrace it and we move forward with it. We don't say, oh no, I want to go back to how it was in the 80s, or I want to go back to how it was in the 60s, or even before that, because things have changed a lot, and a lot of things have changed for the better. We can get things more easily now. We have hospitals, we have healthcare. We don't want to go back to like how Zimbabwe went backwards. It didn't have any proper hospitals, it didn't have any proper facilities, and then the doctors and nurses and all of us left the country because we couldn't get jobs there. And that's what's happening in Canada today. People who are not getting jobs here are willing to move. I'm connected to so many people on Facebook, and I congratulate them when their spouses or they or their children or single people get jobs in America, because it's good. Because I want the same things for them that I want for myself. I want them to be happy. I want them to earn a good living. I don't want them, like me and my mom, to be getting food from food banks, which is spoiled, and then you open it and eat it and find out that, oh, it's rotten inside. And even the things that are expired, I throw them away once they reach the expiry date. I don't keep them, because I'd rather spend that little bit more money on buying things fresh than eating that stale food, and then I get sick, and then I land up spending thousands of dollars because I was not willing to spend a little bit more to stay in a safe neighborhood or to stay in a place that's secure, to buy fresh food, and to make that sacrifice. When I was working, yes, I went out, I went to see Sting. It wasn't like I went to every concert that he had. There are people that fly all around the world to go and see Sting. So when I was working, yes, I spent a little bit of money for my birthday and I went to see him. I don't go to plays all the time. When I was working at TD and I had the opportunity, people were giving their tickets away. They didn't want them to go to waste. Yes, I took it. I said thank you and I went. And I offered to pay. They said, no, we don't want the money because we buy an annual subscription. And so if you don't take it, then we'll give it to somebody else. So I'm not stupid. I don't waste my money, and I don't say, oh, even though I'm not working, I'm going to still go out and go spend money on a ticket to a dance for the New Year's, or I'm going to go and spend money going to movies. I don't watch all the latest movies. I don't watch all the documentaries that come out on my favorite players immediately. Sometimes I wait for years until they become available on like CBC Gem. I watched that movie Lion yesterday. It was very good. So I'm also realistic. So we have to be realistic in what we're aiming for. And if we don't make the proper adjustments, life becomes harder. I've made the adjustments. I'm doing everything I can that is good, and everything I can to keep going and to persevere, so that when I do land that good job, I can then do the things that I want. It's like Jimmy Carter's funeral. Yes, I would have loved to have gone, but I don't have the money to go. So I just prayed for him at home. I followed the services. I gave thanks for the hope that was brought to me as a little girl, and I moved forward with that. And we can't make life harder for ourselves by wanting things to go back to the way they used to be. Because the reality is that there's better things coming for us than we could have ever imagined. Because we are putting our faith in God, not in man. And even when things come against us, we still put our faith in God. Even when we have fires that destroy Canada or destroy California, we still put our faith in God. Even when we lose loved ones and there are diseases that come against us, we still put our faith in God. If we don't respond correctly to the challenges that we are facing, then we'll end up getting a situation like we have now in Canada. Because I wasn't the only one that wrote to Justin Trudeau to say, we don't support you doing this. We don't support you making these drugs available like candy. And their response was, people can make educated choices. Well, not everybody is making educated choices. And we have a big problem now. And it's the same with MAID, medical assistance in dying. So we have to look at the reality, and we have to not make life harder for ourselves. Because if I go back to Zimbabwe being penniless, I don't have a cent to my name. I don't have anything. My family sacrifices for me. They send me a little bit of money when they can. That last $200 that they have, or that last bit of money that they have, they'll sacrifice that for me to say, we know you are suffering, we know you haven't got food at home, so we are giving you this because we don't want you to go without food. We don't want you to go hungry. I'm not somebody that deliberately holds back paying my rent. I'm not somebody that deliberately causes problems for others. I think things through and I follow a process. The worst thing I could do is to say, if somebody says, oh, why did you do that? Say, oh, I don't know. Just in that moment, I just felt like it. So we also have to be willing to learn. And it was the same thing when I was in England. I just put my faith in God. I put my faith in Our Lady of Knock. And with my cousin, we prayed. Maggie and I prayed and said, God, she can't go back. I can't go back. There's no going back to Zimbabwe. Please open this door for her and let things come right for her. And it came through. There was no guarantees. The immigration officer told me there's no guarantees. She said, I feel for you. I feel for your situation. I can see that you work hard and your employers also don't want you to leave England. She told me, she said, I know that because I made the calls and I found out they really like you and they wish you could stay in London. But she said, there's no guarantees. I'm going to put it in and I'm going to write a personal message, a personal statement to say why I think the Canadian government should accept you from England instead of forcing you to go back to Zimbabwe and apply from there. And then we just have to wait. So my life was in somebody else's hands. At least when you have money, when you have savings, when you have your own property, you have a little bit more control. When you're living like me and you have nothing, you don't even have a penny to your name, you're at other people's mercy. But the only thing I can do is to put my faith in God and trust God and say, God, I'm relying on your promises to give me, to help me, to bless my business, give me a successful business that helps others, help me to employ others and people that would rather give up their lives than see my business destroyed and steal from me and ruin my family. That's the only thing I can do. Because I am doing everything right in this country. And for people to accuse me of discrimination against couples who are intermarried, like they have interracial relationships, that is wrong. It kills you. When you've lived through it, you've gone through it, and then you come to Canada and that's what you get accused of. Our faith communities are strong and we are not giving up our faith. I am praying for my friends and my family and their marriages the same way they are praying for me and for those that love me. So those were the two things I did today for the John Maxwell. I will carry on doing them. and I hope they help you. And if you have companies or you know people who might be interested in giving me work as a spiritual director, paid employment, or looking for workshops where I can train others on John Maxwell, or who want to join the John Maxwell team, reach out to me. I can help get you connected with the John Maxwell team, and I'm willing to provide spiritual direction, but I am charging for it. I've done it 20 years for free in Canada. I am charging for it.